We're asking you to physically die.
All you have to do is introduce beryllium.
So if Howard is right, it should start bubbling. Just in case, I got the slow-mo camera working. Wait, hold on. So keeping with this summer's theme of striking while the iron is ice cold, I'm going to be talking about Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan's podcast. Yay! There's already been a bunch of debunks on things that he's said, so I'm not going to go through all of it because it would take forever. But I am going to do a few because I have a few things to say that no one else has quite said before. But I am here today to check out one of his claims, and that is that beryllium, when put in water, creates hydrogen that we can use for fuel.
If you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium, and oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen.
That seems like a good idea. I also have several different elements here. I've got lithium, sodium, calcium, and potassium. The first two, lithium and sodium, are a different section, and potassium are a different section of the periodic table, which is another thing I'm going to talk about, is Terrence's kind of claims about the periodic table and how he said it wasn't correct or that it's not as accurate as it could be. So yeah, this is what happens when you put beryllium in water. Alright, so the thing about the periodic table is pretty easy to understand. You have something like beryllium, which is just next to lithium on the table, right? You have lithium here and beryllium here. So when we see what happens with beryllium in water, is that as you go this way in the periodic table, there's less reactions with water. On top of, when you go down, there's a higher reaction with water. That's why lithium. This is the table of science. All right, that took forever and I burned myself with some sodium. Lithium. That was less exciting than I thought it would be. Has less reaction than sodium. Well, the table of science has become the floor of science because that sun was killing me. Sodium. And sodium has less reaction than potassium. A little frightened. I think this is the one that burned me. Ooh. Plastic may not have been the best choice for this. But beryllium has less reaction than calcium. Because beryllium is higher up on the periodic table. So to say that the periodic table is misguided doesn't align with reality, and that's the problem. Is the periodic table, why are you focusing on him? So to say the periodic table isn't accurate as it currently is would be to say you need a lot more information then. You can't just say it and then use beryllium, basically only non-active element in that column. Magnesium doesn't do anything with water either, but he chose one of two that do nothing instead of the rest that do. And this is where the pseudoscience and the danger comes in, is that he's using, the best description is word salad, where he's using all the right words to anyone who doesn't know about it. Saying hydrogen, saying beryllium, saying that the beryllium can take the hydrogen out of the water and then create fuel. It's using a lot of the right terms, but because he doesn't have a true understanding of it, he misses it. And one of the most common uses from flat earthers is also word salad stuff. So when flat earthers do it, they invoke magnetism, they invoke perspective, and all these things that sound pretty good until you actually listen to what they're saying and figure out what they're saying is just charlatanary phrasing that makes it seem like they know what they're talking about.
Just random images acting as a backdrop for word salad.
This is one of the ways that these charges branch off from each other. As you can see, it flows in a hexagonal pattern, the same pattern that we found in the expanded flower of life. Then, if you rotate this pattern in 6-dimensional charge space, you see it forms yet another pattern. But its true name is the star tetrahedron, which maps perfectly over the fruit of life.
People love cool shapes.
And so that is my point, is how Terrence uses very similar bits to flat earthers, but then he does it in a different logical step. So a flat earther would say that because the moon is moving away from the earth at a certain variable, that means that the earth is fake because it couldn't possibly be that old.
Yeah.
You can see the layers. You see it in the Grand Canyon very clearly. And you see all this structure in the rock, which shouldn't be there if it was laid down at 0.004 millimeters a year.
And are you honestly going to sit there and tell me that this entire portion of your argument relies upon geological layers being built up at a constant rate every single year?
You know, the math doesn't work from what they say. And the way Terrence says it, instead of saying it couldn't possibly be that old, he says, because this math is linear math, that's incorrect. Well, look, it is that old.
So this is the math. This is the math. So the number of years that it will take for the Earth to move 1 mile is 105,600 years. So that in order for the Earth to reach where we are at 93 million miles, it would take 9,820,800,000,000 years for the Earth to get here. The real age of our universe would be gazillions of years based upon this drift.
So using very similar steps to come to different logical conclusions, but they still have some logic to them. So people who don't exactly know won't know. It also doesn't help that he's really good at speaking. He speaks very clearly on obviously stuff that he doesn't completely understand. That's what good charlatans do. God, it's super hot out here. Okay. So now I want to see what's going to happen. I put the beryllium into here. According to the periodic table, it should do absolutely nothing. So if Howard is right, let me get a bigger piece. It should start bubbling, like he said. Beryllium should separate the hydrogen from the oxygen. So in that case, find out if he's right. Just in case, I got the Slowmo camera working. I'm gonna head this way for, just being safe. All right. Beryllium, let's see what happens. Oh God, it's fizzing. Oh no. Wait, hold on, turn the camera, hold on. Oh God. So, no, that was Alka-Seltzer. This is actual beryllium. This, in this bottle, was, what's it called? Alka-Seltzer. Antacid tablets. Hold on. Alka-Seltzer. It's some movie magic. You can Google it. Beryllium's not white, normally. This is what it looks like. This is just a gray chunk of metal. There's the actual beryllium. You can Google it. This is what beryllium looks like. It is a piece of gray metal. It's really light and no camera tricks this time. Ready? Beryllium metal. Drop it right in the water. Nothing. Nothing happens, just as the periodic table would suggest, just as the periodic table tells is true. Well, I just got mud all over my shoes. Hold on. Nothing at all. Just a piece of silver metal. So yeah, haha, I thought that'd be funny. That was a funny bit, wasn't it? This is actually beryllium, and it doesn't do anything in water, much like magnesium. So that's an example of how he will use these phrases, but because he doesn't know the reasons behind them, he gets the little bits incorrect. And he either doesn't know, or he just doesn't care about the truth, about what he can look up easy and find out. So my final point was one that I forgot to mention, was that Howard himself is not actually dangerous. The danger comes from what he incites.
So right now I'm completely conscious that I am God, and I'm completely conscious of how I'm creating the entire universe.
Because the people that say very similar things to him, not an actual topic, but just in logical conclusion, say things like this.
We're asking you to physically die, which of course nobody wants to do, which of course is why this stuff stays relatively unknown.
And this.
How do you save a devil? In the end, only death will save a devil.
Remember from his rant before where he points into the camera, the viewer is the devil.
It's just the type of headspace that gets you to weird conclusions. When your decisions are based off things that don't match reality, you get on a path that also doesn't match reality. So you run into problems that can only be solved by things that are outside of explanation. Like the sun pooping out Earth as it was, or as it is, and then floating across and landing here, and we're still going that way. And what is it? Venus is next to get life? Whatever. You hear me out?
Hear the roar.
This is my new cat. Ooh, did I just punch you in the face? I'm sorry. I didn't know how close you were. Is that a good name for you? Alka-Seltzer? He freaks out in water. That might be actually pretty fitting. So keeping with this thumbers, this is why I don't write scripts. So keeping with the theme of this summer's, what? Why are you wet? What happened? Why are you all wet? Did dog get you? What happened?
Are those the wave conjugations? Oh my god, he was right.